I'm sitting here at Sugar House Publishing with Christian Jansson, who is one of the writers responsible for Laydown by Dimash. First of all, Christian, well, nice of you to take your time for an interview. Could you briefly tell something about Sugar House Publishing?
Sugar House Publishing is a publishing company founded by Ann Slangar and Janne Hyöty, among a few others. Started in 2004 and since around 2008, 2010, that time they started focusing more on Asia due to mainly Janne, who he's also the big part, like the producer and songwriter who's responsible for bringing so many young local and also international talents to Sugar House. And he still have, but back then had really big success in Japan mainly. Lots of #1 records. And it's I think especially here around Vasa and the Swedish-speaking part of Finland, Sugar House has been good at spotting talent, and naturally you get kind of funneled into the Asian track due to working under Janne. Like myself, my journey, or my first time I met Janne was in school. Actually, I'm from
high school.
No, I'm from the Åland Islands actually from the beginning, and I always had a dream of doing something with music. So I went to Lappfjärds folkhögskola in southern Ostrobothnia, and Janne, who's also a former student there, he was the teacher in music production.
Okay.
And this was 2006 around, and I studied there for a few years, and then in 2014 I got granted a scholarship grant for a year to work with a mentor within an art field. So I contacted Janne and asked him basically, would you be willing to take me under your wings and teach me everything you know? And kind as he is, he said, of course. Yeah. And so he did. So in 2015 I started here, and I got signed as a producer and writer, and both before me and after me, a lot of people have been in similar situations, have been tutored by Janne.
Okay, so he's a great teacher and mentor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will always say that I put down a lot of my own achievements to him, because, and to Ann also, but like in the art of writing and understanding especially Asian music, Janne has been amazing and continues to be a huge support and inspiration to me. So yeah, that's my story, and a lot of similar stories are, I guess, what sums up Sugar House today. It's a lot of, we have a nice group now with good writers. There's writers here in Ostrobothnia. There's also in some other parts in Finland, and we also work with writers in Los Angeles. Appu Krishnan being one of them, who's also one of the writers for Laydown.
He wrote the music, yeah.
So, yeah.
And very much the focus of Sugar House Publishing lies in the Asian market.
Yeah.
K-pop, J-pop.
Yeah.
Was that already from the start?
No, I mean, I wasn't part from the start, but no, they actually they also had a record company back then when there was actual records on sale. But then around 2000, I don't remember exactly the year, but around 2010, 2009, around there, basically someone told Janne, a Japanese music guy, basically told him that you know that some of your music sounds J-pop.
Okay.
And I don't think he really understood what J-pop was either.
Right.
But he started writing tons and tons of songs for years.
Yeah.
And sent to Japan. Eventually he got several #1 hits. And
Arashi just released was it a single?
The one last year. No, it was like a compilation album, like
okay.
a greatest hits sort of thing. And he had 3 of his singles was part of that. That was the best-selling record of the year. It's actually in the Guinness World Record book. Yeah, nice. I think it sold, was it 3.3 million copies, physical copies, actual CDs,
right.
Which is insane.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that Arashi is one of the bands that Dears are competing with in Friday live stream on MTV?
No.
Hard competition between Arashi and Dimash fans.
Okay, had no idea.
Yes. Yeah.
But Arashi are going on a hiatus now, so
yeah.
So
okay.
That leaves the field open. Then
it leaves the field
Dears.
open.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so did you know about Dimash previously, before the song Lay Down?
No.
You didn't know anything about
Not
it?
at all.
So,
and I, as I understood, this was his first venture in the Chinese market, like his first Chinese album.
yes.
Yeah. So no, I didn't know. I didn't know about him. Everything I know is basically from this song and onwards.
Yeah, Dimash started actually conquering the world from China with the competition I Am a Singer.
Yeah.
And he became world famous after that.
Yeah.
So China has been a big part of his fame and success.
Right.
Yeah. But who sort of initiated the collaboration then? How is it that you and Otto Palmborg got one of your lyrics onto a Dimash album?
Well, the lyrics is actually, that's kind of funny because it's a bit unusual in the way we write, especially for Asia, since they usually translate lyrics to, if you write for Korea, they usually translate most parts to Korean, or for Japan, they translate to Japanese. So the way we wrote here, the process, it can look in different ways. It depends on the project, but in this situation, we got sent a track, as they call it, an instrumental, from a team in Los Angeles. They sent it here, and we just felt it was a nice track and wanted to write to it, and both Otto and me are kind of rockish from that background, so I think we connected with that a bit rock feel in the track. And yeah, maybe we should mention also that the original idea is a bit different than the released one in terms of the track. But yeah, so we started writing and we wrote the melody first, which I think is quite common. So, sometimes you can have a lyrical concept. I don't remember us having like a set concept for this. We just felt it was really nice track and a nice vibe, and we started jamming and bashing out ideas, and we got a nice melody, and then we just started piecing together like some sort of story in it and some sort of concept.
Sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
So you mean the music was already made?
Yeah.
The music came from Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Okay, and was it meant for Dimash originally, or was it just something that somebody wrote and wanted lyrics to it?
I can't speak for I mean Kevin and Appo and Jason, the guys who were responsible for the instrumental. I can't speak for them. I don't know if they knew, but at least to our knowledge, no. At that point, we did not know that it was intended for specifically Dimash. I think we heard quite early that it's not for Japan, definitely not, and we didn't really get the feeling it was Korea either. And since at the time when we wrote it, China was really up and coming as a music market and still is. So we just wrote something that we felt, the feeling we had when we heard the track, just something that fits the track. But it was maybe half a year after we wrote the initial idea that it was actually getting spoken of, that Dimash, this might be a song for Dimash.
Right.
And then there was some, tweaking and working on the song again once you know that. And Kevin and the LA guys worked, and they redid parts of the track or the sound maybe to get it a bit more towards what I assume they got some briefs from Dimash camp that let's take it in this direction a bit. So they did, and then eventually it found its home with Dimash.
So the music was composed in America, and then you wrote the lyrics here in Finland.
And the melody, I want to point that out because I've seen that it's some sort of misconception in. I've also seen in like the YouTube the credit stuff. It's I mean we didn't just write the lyrics, we wrote the entire vocal melody and stuff. So it was very much a normal online co-write as they are nowadays, especially now during COVID. But in the songwriting world, it's been like this for years, as long as I've been in it. You send instrumental, me being a producer myself, I do it every week. I send out tracks to, people that I know are great singers and great vocalists, and they write the vocal melody and the lyrics, and they record the vocals, they arrange the harmonies, the vocal arrangement, everything. So, and then they send it back, and the producer mix it down and makes it a pitchable demo. And that's also, people in the business know it, but it might not be known to the outer world. But the term demo, as we know it, even when I grew up, a demo was basically someone, strumming an acoustic guitar and humming something and record it on a cassette tape. That's not the way it works nowadays. A demo today, the demo is the thing you hear on the radio, just with the vocals changed to the proper artist. Okay. So that's the way it works. So the demo needs to sound like an album already. It needs to be that quality.
Right.
So, the laydown track, the song you hear, that is Kevin and Appu's. That's the original thing, the original idea. The only thing they did was to remove the vocals, the demo vocals we had written. They removed them, and Dimash sang them.
Yes.
And then they mix it and master it, and
yeah.
That's it. That's the most common way.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you had done your part here, you sent your stuff back to LA, and they somehow contacted Dimash Ali probably to have Dimash sing it.
They were. I mean, an important part, and that definitely needs to be mentioned here, is that someone who was in charge of the operation and had to pitch the song to Dimash and everything. That's a person. She's called Soyun Lee. She runs a company now in Seoul called Number K Company, and Kevin is signed to the Number K Company, so he's basically her writer.
Yeah.
And Appo is a close friend to her, and Sugar House has been collaborating with her on different projects. So yeah, she basically took charge of sending that track originally. I assume that they made the instrumental track, send it to Soyun, who listened to it and felt, all right, maybe let's send this to Sugar House. And she sent it here, and we recorded the vocals and sent it back. And they mixed it, and then they had a final demo, and she listened to it and felt, all right, this fits this artist and this artist. And then they just start,
it's
sending it out.
Yeah, fascinating how global the music business is. I mean, coming from LA to Vasa in Finland, and then to Seoul, Korea, and then to
Kazakh singer
in China.
Yeah,
exactly.
This one is very international. Like that.
But it also means that you never met or interacted with Dimash and Dimash Ali Productions.
No, never.
What a pity.
Yeah, but I think as a songwriter that's the normal. You rarely have something to do with the actual artist. It's a business. So oftentimes, in this case, this song was actually, I don't think it was meant for anyone else or sent to, because it got confirmed fairly quickly for Dimash. But normally you can write a song that, it might not suit the artist you had in mind when you wrote it. But they might still send it to other people. Okay, maybe it fit this band or this, and hopefully sometime it finds a home. And that process, it can take days, but it can take years too. Yeah. You can have songs you wrote 5, 6, 7 years ago can still be sent around to,
until it finds the right vocalist. Yeah. So Uttu Palmborg, who sang the demo that I heard a snippet of, he's got a nice voice, but much rockier than Dimash's voice. But you've heard Dimash's version. How do you feel about his voice suiting the music?
I think it's a nice song, and it's always nice to hear a finished version of a song you wrote. That's I would say the ultimate fulfillment of the process is actually hearing the final version with the proper artist on it. So I think it works really nice. And as I said, the original track we got sent and that we wrote the melody and vocals on top of was maybe a bit more rockier. So maybe that original demo was more suited to the style of Otto. But since probably it was meant for Dimash later on, they maybe redid it to fit him, and that's how it should be done.
Yeah.
Because that's what matters. It should be. You can't force a song onto an artist like you need to do this now.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Of course, you always need to push boundaries and do something new and different. And I don't know, but I got the feeling from just reading reactions when it got released that apparently laydown was a bit different than
Than his
other
usual
stuff he's
repertoire.
done. Yeah,
Yes.
and that's of course also.
But it's
Nice.
surely nice to know that millions of people out here in the West have heard Lay Down, and billions probably in China, because it was released on the album ID by Dimash, which had a huge success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as I said, that it's the ultimate goal. That's what you aim for. That's what you do this for. Of course, it's art. So again, everyone who does this does it with a passion, and they do it because they need to express something. But of course, the ultimate goal as a songwriter or producer writing for other artists is to get the song to that artist and get it released and see the reaction. That's when you that's when you actually can lean back a bit and like, phew, that was intense, but it turned out good. So yeah.
So how long was the process about from when you got the audio track till you had the finished product? I mean, the finished production also done to it and ready for the album.
I think we looked now. I think we got the original instrumental from LA in 2017 in late April, early May, and we wrote and recorded, I think it was May, 2017, and then I think it took until either late 2017 or early 2018 before you noticed any development. And I think it was around that time that it actually got confirmed also that it was meant for Dimash.
Yeah.
And then from that on, I mean, they redid the production, as I said, to probably fit that a bit better. And then it took a year until it got released. I mean, the single got released in like spring 2019, maybe April.
I don't remember exactly.
I think it was April.
Yeah.
So more or less around 2 years from original writing session to release. And I mean, that's not, to some it might sound that's a long time, but I would say it's not that uncommon. I mean, a process like this, sometimes it can take 5 or 7 or, I mean, even 10 years.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it takes a week. It depends. Well, maybe not a week, but it can be a month or 2 or 2 years. So.
Yeah. Right, and so can you tell about the lyrics? So you and Otto started sort of throwing ideas around. Who came up with or how did the idea of the lyrics come up, basically?
Well, I need to credit Otto a lot for it, because he is, between the two of us, he is the natural singer. I can't sing for beep. I'm not a singer. I'm a producer and a writer. So I can express my ideas, like vocal ideas, perfectly, and I can sing them to a singer who can then kind of take them that extra step. Okay, you mean this, and that's what Otto does, and he's great at that. And I always enjoy working with him because he's so skilled, and he understands what I mean and does it 10 times better than I envisioned it. So I can't really recall. I mean, we didn't really sit and discuss, okay, it should be this. I think the laydown, I think actually that, I mean, that's, I wouldn't say uncommon, but normally the hook or the title of the song is usually the thing that impacts you when the chorus starts.
Yeah.
But I think Lay Down is like halfway into the song when you actually hear it the first time, because it's actually like a B chorus. The first chorus is half the length. So you don't have that lay down your pride stuff. But I think we actually got that lay down your pride, blah blah blah. That idea first, and then we started like anchoring ideas to that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, you know, many deers know the song "Lay Down" by the name "Get Up."
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's what you hear.
Exactly, and that would probably be the normal way to name it, I assume, because that's how we're used to hearing the hook or the thing that sticks to your ear. That's the title of the song.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand that, but I think that was not, I'm sitting here speaking like it was some measured operation in naming the track. It wasn't. I mean, as I said, normally for Asia, it's not uncommon that they can change the title. I mean, oftentimes they keep the hook in the chorus in English as it's originally written, also in K-pop and J-pop to a degree also. So I don't think we didn't really think like what should the title be to be perfect to resonate with the fans. You just come up with a cool title, and we figured that Lay Down sounded way cooler than Get Up. And now that I actually think of it, I mean, my memory might be wrong here, but actually now when I think of it, I think the original idea actually had the lay down part, like the B chorus that in the final song now was actually the start of the chorus. I might be wrong. I'm really curious myself.
You have to go back and check your recordings.
Yeah.
What it was like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about Lay Down or Get Up, whatever you choose to call it, I call it by its real name,
Yeah.
Lay Down. Many deers, deers are a very international fan base, and not all of them know English that well. So there has been some confusion about what do the lyrics mean? What does it mean to lay down? I mean, they associate it with lying down on the floor or something, but that's not the purpose.
I think the overall concept that eventually, as I said, we didn't sit down and discuss, okay, what should the concept be for this, but we started throwing ideas at each other, and phrases, you come up with one phrase that leads to another, and then you kind of string together a good story. And I think the lay down your pride is, I think it's a good mantra to have, especially if I look at my own field of work in songwriting. A great quote I heard several years ago was, leave your ego
behind
outside when you come into a studio session, because no one will want to work with someone who is so full of themselves. So I think lay down your pride is, you can attach it to life in general. I mean, show yourself vulnerable maybe, and maybe try and understand someone else's perspective. Lay down your own pride. You ask someone how they feel or anything. That's what I read into it. And get up, lay down, get up. I mean, it can also be, you can be beaten down by something, but it's important to stand back up.
Yeah.
So
lay down your pride, it means that you sort of have to be true to yourself and not be stuck up in any way, or like you said, leave your ego behind. But also you have to sort of make a stand for yourself, getting up, so you can't even be put down by anybody else, even though you show your true self.
Yeah, and I mean, I think overall with lyrics to songs, I think that's the art in it, that every individual listener can get their own perception of what does this mean. And a lyric can mean so many different things to different people. So I don't want to say this is how it meant to be, because I honestly think when we wrote it, we didn't have that deep thought into like what is the real core of this message. It's just a phrase that sounds, that resonates, that, I mean, the message basically is that, lay down your pride, of course, as I said, show yourself vulnerable. And I mean, even if you're laid down by someone in some way, maybe someone who hasn't laid down their pride, it's important to get back up on your feet. And
I find those lyrics so fitting for Dimash, who's got no pride. He's not stuck up in any way. He's a very humble human being, and yet he knows what he wants.
Yeah, and I think
he knows how to get it also.
And so I think that's, I assume, most civilized people. I think that's, I mean, a parent, what else could you want from your child than exactly that?
Yeah.
You know your worth and fight for it, but don't be full of yourself. Be prepared to lay down your pride every now and then.
Yeah, you don't have to push away anybody else in order to get what you want. Yeah, it's fascinating. So have you heard Dimash's music after you made these lyrics? You heard him singing this final album version of Lay Down. Have you heard anything else by Dimash?
Yeah. I've listened. I mean, it's not like I've listened through his entire discography, but I always do that whenever I'm part of a release, an album. I always, listen to what else is there. And I think it was nice. It took a while since we had to wait for it to come on Spotify, since the Chinese services is not
the same.
No, and it's not so easily accessible for us here. So when it came to Spotify, I listened to it. But I mean, already by then, I wouldn't say I'm bored by Lay Down, but you've heard it so many times.
Yep, you have other
already,
stuff to
and
do.
I mean that one got released as a single a few months earlier. So of course I had heard that version a few times, but I listened to the album and I've seen a few live clips, and I mean that was actually the first thing I remember when the song was like confirmed for Dimash. Of course, the first thing you do with someone you don't know, you Google it and you listen. And what everyone was lifting was his vocal ability, which is striking, and it is amazing. When you listen to it, it is a powerful voice. So that's the first thing that hit me, and then I was a bit surprised also by how big the fan base seems to be.
154 countries, I believe, there are fan clubs. Yeah,
that's insane. It's fun, but it's
But he's totally worth it. Did you know, by the way, that he's trained in opera?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I knew he was trained, but you can hear that he's. That's, I assume that's his normal field, because I remember that was the first clips that I saw with him. Also was performing with like symphony style music, and he with that pianist Igor
Qudaibergen.
So you kind of, viewed him as more classical singer than pop
he's
singer back then.
classically trained,
So-
and actually he was offered a position in Astana Opera,
Okay.
which he turned down because he wants to
Wanted to do
pursue his own
pop, yeah.
own goals, and he's more a crossover artist,
Yeah.
neoclassical. So
All right.
he doesn't like doing only opera because he feels he would be too constrained. He wants to be free, make his own choices.
Yeah.
Right. What is your favorite music, personally, by the way?
What I listen to.
Yeah,
and
what do
I
you
grew
listen
up-
to? Do you listen to anything except for at work?
The only time I ever listen to music, if I see, like, of course I listen to music for work-related business. You gotta, be up to date. And since I mainly write J-pop and K-pop, that's what 90% of, that's what I'm listening to. And I also enjoy it as a fan. That's like, it's not only work. I really enjoy the music as a fan. And I love discovering new artists because they pop up all the time. But other than that, I mean, I grew up with hard rock. So sometimes
Like most Finns do, probably.
Yeah. I mean, you can never take away the feeling listening to a Kiss record gives me, because Kiss, that's the foundation of everything, of why I even like music in the first place. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Had you ever before heard any singer from Kazakhstan? Because I hadn't.
No, I need to think, but I don't think so. I mean, I've heard from a lot of countries around there. I can't even come up with that many artists I know of from Kazakhstan. So no, I think I have to say no.
Yeah. So I find it really amazing how far he's got.
Yeah.
A singer virtually known only to a few Kazakhstanis, and now he's famous worldwide, and I believe he will be famous in the US also. He has a solid fan base there now, but it's very hard to, as a non-English speaker, to break through in the States. What do you think it takes for an artist to break through worldwide, globally, especially if they come from very sort of not so very well-known countries and cultures? What do you find important? Is it important that he learns better English, for instance, and makes those English hits?
I think if you want to sing in English, I think it's a good thing to, speak good English and sing in good English. Of course I do, but I mean, I don't know if there's one recipe for everyone. What I think is, I think today you need to stick out in some way. And I think Dimash can do that with that opera background, his vocal range, and his, like, that classical crossover thing. But what I don't think for any artist is, don't try and get into someone else's territory, musically, I mean. Because if you want to do music like this artist or this artist because they are successful right now, I think you will fail, because they are the original, they do it. I mean, if you listen to Billie Eilish today, she's very unique. You hear straight away it's Billie Eilish. And I assume there's record companies and A&Rs around the Western world must get demos daily in thousands from young girls who want to sound like Billie Eilish now. and everything they hear is, okay, so this is another carbon copy of
Yeah.
Billie Eilish, but we already got Billie Eilish, so no one will want to hear this. So I think you need to, whatever you do, stick out. And I think that's not only globally, I think wherever you want to pop out. If you want to be a standout artist in Kazakhstan, I still think, without knowing how the Kazakh music business works, but I assume he needs to be relevant and interesting, and something a lot of the great artists have is you can identify them within 5 seconds from pressing play. And especially in times of streaming today and the algorithms, people don't have patience, and that's a shame. I mean, as I said, I grew up listening to rock records and prog music, and you want to hear a story. I mean, yeah, listen to these great old prog records, and song number 8 is great. Yeah, it is. But it's even greater, and you understand the concept if you listen to track 1 to 7 first.
Yeah.
So you listen to them. People don't consume music that way today.
Yeah.
They everything. The streaming world has eliminated album songs, which is boring to me because album songs can be interesting. Not every song should need to be a single, but today it is like that. Every song you make needs to be a single to stand a chance, because no one want to touch B-sides. They don't need them.
And everything has to happen so fast, instant. Everything has to be so instant, and it's like Dimash makes art. His music is art, and if you just listen to a snippet of it or one song, you don't get it.
No.
So you don't. You have to give it time. Like when you watch some paintings, you perhaps aren't attracted straight away to a painter's style or everything, but you just have to give it time, and that's what's lacking nowadays.
Exactly, and that's, I think, in that statement, I think you gave the answer to your question.
Okay.
I think, because people and listeners today don't take that time. They don't value like when we grew up and the artists we listened to, we had to, I mean, if you want to read an interview with them, you maybe had to wait for an actual magazine and they had interviewed them, and that was like, wow. Today you can find out everything within seconds on your mobile. So I think with Dimash, maybe, he makes art, and that should be respected. But I think if people don't grasp what is he trying to do, what is he doing, what is he about, they lose interest.
Yeah.
And they leave it, because then they can listen to Billie Eilish because they know that the next Billie Eilish song, they kind of know what it will. I mean, nothing but respect to Billie Eilish, but you kind of already know what the next song will probably sound like a bit. And I think...
Well, tastes are different, of course. There's no other way to put it. You said you have a sort of a rock background, you listen to rock. Have you heard Dimash sing Queen? I highly recommend it.
Yeah, okay. No, I don't think I have.
He's excellent, and he does such beautiful covers also of Lionel Richie's Hello, such a beautiful cover.
Yeah, I've seen some covers.
Dimash has a very distinct voice, and he makes all the covers very, very unique. Yeah. So, and even more beautiful than the originals in my mind, of course. So I recommend that. Yeah. And his collaboration with Igor Kruтой from Russia, you know, he speaks Kazakh and Russian fluently. So those pieces are fantastic. Like Yubov, Pahosha na son, Love is Like a Dream.
Okay.
Listen to that.
I need to check that out.
That's art.
All right, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, of course you want every every skilled artist you wish nothing but the best for, because I sincerely hope that like the next big thing in music is talent.
Exactly.
Because I'm not saying it's been lacking, but if I look back to, again, I sound like an old fart here, but if I look back to that rock music from the 80s, I mean, you could listen to any band, any rock band there, and you hear a vocalist that's, this guy is great, and then the next song comes on, but this is even greater.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any way to cheat. I mean, they had to learn their art. It's like you record it on a tape. Yeah, you can edit a tape recorder. You can do it. But it takes a bit of time. So it's easier for you to actually learn how to play it. Today, it's like a shortcut away and you can just do stuff.
So tweak it a little bit, auto-tune it.
That's also, again, back to that people don't have time for anything. Everything needs to be quick. And don't get me wrong, I love technology. I love the technology we have today. I've learned the trade with analog gear and tape recorders. There's no way I would rather do that. Yeah. Some people do, and I respect that. But I like the way I work now, digitally. But I think there is some lessons to be learned that there's some great... I mean, there's great talent today also. But I think a lot of people with maybe less stuff to say, but due to great fandom and great network, can get really far. Yeah. I mean, you can have Crazy Frog a while back.
Love Crazy Frog.
Okay, well, that can be a hit. And it's like, okay, yeah, but that's not down to talent, is it? You can argue. Of course, it's a bit talent to be successful, but yeah, I think what Dimash, maybe he has that raw human talent in him.
He's got talent.
Yeah,
in heaps.
And I think that just find a...
He doesn't need auto-tune. No. And it's very telling that his live concerts are even more appreciated than his recordings, because he does so well live. He's an amazing performer. And that
was actually the most, I would say, wow, cool moment I had with Dimash. It wasn't actually the release of the single or the album. It was actually when I saw live clips when he performed the song. And you actually see a live orchestra, and you see live performers and dancers. And I mean, I love Michael Jackson live shows. Go back and look at them. And what you appreciate is you can actually hear a guy count the orchestra in. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and they start. And that's so refreshing, because today everything you hear on the radio is so straight and polished and nice. So that was really... That was, the highlight for me was to see the live clip.
Okay. Are you able to tell anything about what you're working on right now?
No, just in general, I write for K-pop and J-pop. And we get You get briefs from the contacts we have that, this artist is now looking for this type of music, and just you kind of try to work something out for that. And, you just trying to do that and finishing off. As I said, I'm a producer, so now I've got some vocal files back from a guy in UK who did some vocals on one of my tracks, so I have to mix that and finish the production and send out. And it's just... What do you enjoy more? Writing lyrics or producing music? I rarely write top line vocal melodies and lyrics. It's more or less only on camp situations or like this with Dimash, but as I said, since I'm no singer, I need to have a good singer with me. Then I enjoy it from now, now and then I like to do it, but it's rare. It's incredibly rare that I write top line. I mean, I mainly do instrumental tracks and have them sent out, and then of course there's always a collaboration because I still have opinions on vocals and stuff, and so it's very much like back and forth, and that's also important to point out, as I said in the beginning here, that there's kind of a misconception that we only wrote the lyrics.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Yeah, you can have a designated lyrics writer, you can, but I mean we wrote our part of the song. I mean, it's a normal collaboration, just as I do today. I send out tracks to someone else to write a vocal on, and we go back and forth till everyone is happy.
Yeah.
So that's how co-writes works.
Yeah, and you can actually see that it takes a big collaboration when you look at all the names involved in the music making or the making of Lay Down. There are several names there, so it's a collaboration.
I mean, everyone, that's the important part. I mean, everyone is getting their like ideas in, and that's what makes creating music so fulfilling, is that you enjoy writing with other people because they come with perspectives and thoughts and stuff that you don't think of. Because let's face it, people are quite boring. You are quite boring to yourself. I always say that because sometimes I can get tired of myself when I'm sitting here and writing stuff, because I know what I'm going to do in 3 seconds time. Like that's when it's real nice to have another person in the room who does something totally different, and at first you're like, whoa, that's crazy, but after 2 seconds it's like, but it's kind of cool.
New ideas are important.
Absolutely.
So what would be your dream job or achievement? Tell me an artist you would like to collaborate with or anything.
Well, there are a few.
Come on.
I don't know if I want to say any names, but there are some. I mean, of course you want one day to have a single or a song with the biggest K-pop or J-pop bands. Of course you do. I would lie if I said otherwise. I mean, I don't want to put out any names, but you can probably see if you look up Spotify and search for legendary K-pop bands from 2005 to 2015. Before BTS, I'd love to be on a BTS record, of course, too. But if you look at the guys just before that, and you can find some.
We have to do some Googling then. Well, I do hope you sort of achieve your dreams, achieve your goals. And I like creative work. It takes a lot, I believe. From you, but it gives a lot also, and it gives a lot to listeners and other audiences also. Absolutely,
and that's in the end that's what I see with art overall, and I think this is a perfect situation to kind of lift that problem during these COVID times and everything. When I feel sometimes a bit unfairly, sports and art have taken like
a setback.
A big one, maybe bigger than they deserve, and people don't value art because they just assume art is there for free. Naturally, it's not. It's people, whether it's designing or doing paintings or film or television or music or whatever, theaters, whatever you do, it's actual peoples who, of course, they have a fire inside. They need to have that creative output and do it. But like any other person in life, of course, they want to be able to get some money and sustain themselves in doing it. Because,
Exactly.
I mean, the nightmare scenario would be if the art collectively, the whole field of art, just one day said, all right, fuck it. And people then will realize, oh, there's just silence.
Yeah.
We can't look anything on TV. There's no music on the radio. There's nothing to look at. You just have white walls. But people don't understand that. So, yeah, I suffer with every artist, every musician or painter or television worker or theater worker or everything. I mean...
So we who enjoy arts in all its forms, we should also support art by buying the tickets, buying the albums, and so on.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, of course, it's a bit different from my view, since I most of the stuff I do is released in the other end of the world, first and foremost. But I mean, these artists who maybe in your village or your town are doing paintings.
Buy them.
Yeah,
Go to the gigs.
Support. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I just hope everyone can keep on doing what they do, because we need, I mean, that the more the merrier. It really is like that. And with quantity you get quality. That's the way it is. So, yeah.
Oh, one last question. You didn't have personal contact with Dimash or the Kazakhstani producers or anything, but you have loads of collaboration with the Asian music market. Are there sort of any cultural differences and such that you have to take into consideration when being in contact with the Asian market or making music for them?
Yeah, well I would like to separate that question into two, because, I mean, of course there are cultural differences in the way we are, but what I feel is we are actually a lot more similar. I mean, people overall in the world, or everyone who's been outside their own country, realize that we're pretty much the same. And the thing that I think has made a lot of Nordic and Western writers, Swedish and Finnish writers, popular in Asia is because we share the work ethic that Japanese and Korean people have. And what I appreciate and what I assume they appreciate too is a promise is a promise, and you can put your trust. If you say you will do something, we can assume you will do it. So there's I mean, I admire South Korea and Japan and love the countries and the cultures and everything, because, I mean, their work ethic and their to the point kind of policy it fits me perfectly. I really enjoy it. And as far as the people, I mean, there's no kinder people in the world. As I said, you don't even know what to do with all that gratitude you get. And how kind they are to you. It's like, you always feel like I don't deserve this, and you want to say thank you 10,000 times. I mean, I guess it's a bit like a good parent, I assume. That they have rules that they want you to oblige to a certain discipline and this deadline and work ethic, but they are also very, very supportive and appreciative towards what you do. So, yeah, no, I like it, and I think especially Nordic people and Finns and I guess Asian people overall, but I think we connect in so many different ways. Yeah.
I have the picture in my mind that they are hard workers, as are Finns also.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember last time I went to Seoul and I had a session with a Korean guy, and he didn't speak much English, but he, of course, very happy and very kind and everything. And after the session, I remember him saying that, Koreans we are much like you Finns. And he summed it up as work hard, drink hard.
Okay.
And then we went to the bar. And,
right.
And yes, they drink hard too.
Okay.
Yeah. No, so it's nice. And I think that there's only positive things you can take, like cultural. Of course, every country has their demons and problems that they need to solve, of course, that we do too. But overall, I think it's a really good fit, and I really enjoy working with them.
Excellent. Well, I thank you for this interview. I wish you all the best in the future. Make some good music some more.
Thank
and
you.
Listen to Dimash's Любовь похожа на сон.
Yes, I will try.
I don't know Russian that well, but love is like a dream.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.